Yeah, you know what it is? I don't think our minds are capable of figuring out that we're getting older.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
no.
I don't think I'm old until I look in the mirror and it's like, holy shit, who's that? And it's like, oh yeah, that's me.
I keep thinking I'm in the wrong house when I look in the mirror.
Yeah, but whose house do you want to be in? Is the question.
So, what have you been up to these days, anyway?
Obviously with the pandemic being what it is, 16 months of twiddling my thumbs. So I've been in the process of uh, writing two books, one technical on a bunch of the articles that I've written over the years, and the other one about my 45 years in the industry.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And so, I mean, more on the fun side though. But it's been kind of fun thinking back to some of the early days. I need to get the time that you and I and Johnny when we came up to your place.
Yeah.
I need to. You know what? I still do have. I still have your Wheat Buckley's badges and stuff.
those those turned out to be pretty famous, actually.
I have a couple of them actually,
Uh, I'm just gonna plug in earphones.
among other Wheat Buckley stuff.
You know, if I don't if I don't use earphones,
I know.
I
I
can't
have
hear.
my sound turned up all the way.
Well, the problem is I've been driving really loud race cars every fucking weekend for 20 years. and it's not good for your ears.
Listen,
So
I've been listening to nothing but printing machines for 45 years, so it's killed my ears.
well,
Although
I
I think
thought
my ears were probably on the downside to begin with.
I remember back in the shop, the bearings would go on the big rollers at the end of the dryer.
Yep.
And my crew would come up to me and say, "Brooke, we got a bearing gone. Can you fix it?" I said, "Well, I could certainly fix it, but I can't hear it." And so I'd take it apart, put a new bearing in, and have to wait till they told me if it worked or not.
Hey, listen, back in the earlier days, we did whatever it took to make things happen. Nowadays, some of the stuff is so sophisticated. If you don't call in a technician, nothing's going to happen.
And I saw this. Sorry, your thing came up. I forget how I got it on LinkedIn or something today. But
how's your wife?
Well, good, really good. She goes riding 3 days a week or a couple of days a week. Listen, it's 30 below outside right now, so we're not doing much.
We've had the craziest winter. We went 230 days from the last snowfall to the first one. Okay. And then when we did have it, we got less than an inch, but it was a measurable amount. Yeah. We had our first actual snowstorm a couple of days ago where we got about 6 inches.
We haven't got a hell of a lot of snow, but it's been 35, 38 below. Like right now, it's 30 below and the wind chill is minus 42.
Well, for us, it's the opposite. Yesterday it was 56. Okay. And we've been hitting temperatures.
And I'm talking Celsius, though.
I know. We've been hitting temperatures in the 60s and 70s. I mean, it's like, really? I mean, that's not to say we didn't have any cold days. 3 days ago, New Year's Eve was the coldest day. We got down to about 5 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, shit.
But other than that, we've been 40s, 50s, 60s. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't see
that. Oh, yeah, I see that.
Minus 29.
Yeah.
So it's
it's a good day to stay in.
Well, I fucked up my back and it was just sore for a while. And then one day I was farting around with some Christmas tree lights and I twisted slightly the wrong way. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I'm in just in incredible pain. So I'm on and off, and I've got it's getting a bit better, but then if I move the wrong way, it all comes back. So I'm off to see a clinic again today. I'm off. I live in well, you know where, you've been here. I
Of
live in
course,
a
I've been
small
up
town.
there.
I'm in a small town, and the clinic for these guys that specialize in back pain, they're about a half an hour away. So I got to drive up there later. My wife Bernie's driving me up. But the roads are dangerous. Cars are in
Yeah,
the ditch. You know, it's just
I'm surprised you're not in Spain right now.
well, fuck, man, I'm not going to Spain in this weather. And well, no. What I mean by the
No, I
weather,
understand.
COVID. I have not. Last winter was the first winter in 25 years that I wasn't in Spain, and it was the fifth winter in 52 years that I hadn't been in Spain in the winter.
Huh.
So this is the second year in a row now that I haven't been, and we were getting ready to go at the end of this month, but it's
Oh, Spain
bloody,
is blossoming with COVID.
well, everywhere is. I mean,
Of course it is.
we're
Yeah.
just covered with the only thing is that they figure that this Omicron's not so bad, and that they
No,
figure that
they say that it is much milder, even though it's extremely contagious.
yeah, but I'm still 77 years old, man, and I don't want to get it.
Well, you
You
know
know,
what? I'm resigned to the fact that sooner or later we're all going to get it
well,
because they say it's not going to go away. It's kind of like having a cold or the flu in the sense that can you avoid it? You'd love to avoid it, but how are you going to avoid it forever unless you lock yourself in a room and never come out?
well, that's kind of what I've been doing.
So, did you get
Nothing.
vaccinated? Have you been vaccinated?
Wait,
at all?
I've had three.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we've had the boosters as well.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
you know, if you think you know how to avoid it forever, pass that
No.
information on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is that if this Omicron is what it turns out, what everybody's thinking it is, then it's a sign that each variant after that is going to be a little bit less. And that pretty soon we'll be just looking at something that is like a
Yeah.
cold. And so if you do get it, it won't matter that much.
You know,
You
the
see,
number of people who are being hospitalized and dying from it that are vaccinated, very, very few.
well, here's the thing. I just listened to this on the radio. It's not putting a lot of people in the hospital. If you get sick, you probably don't go to the hospital. But there's
Right.
so many more people getting sick, even though there's not many of them going to the hospital. So many are getting sick that our hospitals are getting backed up again.
Totally. But and who is it that are getting sick and going to the hospital? All those idiots who didn't bother getting vaccinated.
I
And it's
don't even.
amazing to me. It's like, what the hell is wrong with getting vaccinated against something that could hurt you?
Can't. Well, it's all
I
Donald
can't.
Trump. It's all Donald Trump's fault.
Of course it is.
He
That's
started all this
bad.
anti that stuff.
He's made this into a political situation as
Well,
opposed to a medical situation.
but he's changed. He's changed the politics. It's even affecting us up here. He's changed political life and life in general to the point where you can't tell me fuck all. It's my life. I'll do what I want. You can't tell me anything.
I know.
So you look at some of these people and they believe things. You tell them black is, and then they know it's white. The earth is round. No, it's flat.
Right.
And I can't believe it. I've never seen anything in all my years. And Charlie, we've been through some crazy shit, you and me, in three quarters of a century, and I've never seen anything quite so crazy in my life.
It's insanity. It is totally insane, and it makes no sense. I'd move to Canada if it were warmer.
Well, yeah, but the weather is just so fucking screwed up here. I just don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So we carry on. I'm thinking of going to Spain in the maybe March and April for a couple of months. I'm trying to sell my house over there.
Okay.
I want to buy a small apartment. I don't need this great big house. It's a big house, costs a lot of money to keep running. I don't use it that much.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you
uh,
rent it out while you're not there or no?
well, I was renting it out regularly, but the tax man started to get a little nosy.
Uh-huh.
So we quit renting it out. I rented it out for 30 years. I mean, I
I
made
was gonna
twice.
say, paying for 30 years and not being there all the time, tough.
Well, no, but I made almost double what I paid for it on the rent alone. But we weren't too worried about the tax man at the time. But the tax man's got all bothered, twisted, and bitter and stuff. So
What town are you in there?
in a place called Calpe, it's on the Mediterranean coast, halfway between Valencia and Alicante.
Okay.
Little
Yeah,
town.
we were down there a number of years ago. We drove down that whole area.
Yeah, a little town. Well, when I got there in 1969, 1970, it was a little town, and hardly anybody there. Well,
Yeah.
now it's just
It's a booming tourist area.
yeah, but I still like it. It's still town.
Yeah,
But
well,
it's
the fact that you have something there is kind of nice. It's
well,
probably worth a decent amount of money now, once this pandemic ends, or at least lessens.
well, I've been trying to sell it for a few years, and this buddy of mine, I've known him for 45 years. He's been fucking me over. I'm eating a bowl of mixed fruit here.
You go for it. Don't. There's nothing stopping you.
COVID hasn't helped any,
No.
and this guy keeps coming up. The issue is the house is on two pieces of land. I've got two deeds. It's two pieces of property, so it's a good sized piece of property. And the idea is to sell it to a developer who will split it and build two houses.
Yeah.
Well, he keeps coming up with these con men who say they're going to do it, and they make all these plans and they get all excited about it. They don't do it.
Right.
They don't pay. So I've been on the phone or on WhatsApp every day for 3 years with this asshole trying to sell the house.
Keeps you occupied anyway.
Well, that's right. So and yours, it's been tough for what's the industry like these days? I haven't printed a T-shirt in 14 years. I don't know what.
So the digital market is certainly making major inroads. Not replacing screen printing. I mean, they keep talking about it. Of course, companies that are involved are major corporations with huge amounts of money. So at shows, they're taking massive booths. But my understanding is it only makes up about 7 or 8% of the market. The rest of it is still screen print.
Yeah.
I've been doing stuff overseas quite a bit prior to the pandemic. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, and huge factories there. And
Yeah.
predominantly, screen print tables,
Yeah.
automatics. They do have some digital.
Yeah. Do you remember Graham Ridley?
With his new wifey.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He and I are in constant touch.
I'm sure you are. I see him on Facebook all the time.
And he and I are in touch every few days. And he's a well, now something I've always said, the only people that are successful, or at least certainly in my day, the only people that were successful in our industry were crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I
crazy.
wasn't crazy enough.
No, you're crazy. You're crazy. I'm talking about the crazy people. I know Fresner is crazy, and
Right.
and John Weiss is crazy, and Graham is fucking off his head. And so Graham packed everything up. Things that back in the day, things was the biggest thing in Europe.
I used to deal with him all the time.
Yeah, well, it was a big deal. So it all went to shit.
Right.
And so he still owns the rights to the name and everything. And he he packed up and did a deal with the government up in the northeast of England in Norwich,
Uh-huh.
and moved up there, moved the plant up there, moved, and he's just doing crazy good. He's living
I
in a
know.
great big house.
Yep.
Got the Irish wife who used to be Miss Ireland, and
Oh, was she? I didn't realize that.
yeah, yeah, and he's cranking out that digital stuff. He's got a couple of cornets or 2 or 3 cornets.
Yep.
And that's what's making his business for him. He's cranking the stuff out with that stuff because
Yep.
it keeps his staff levels low, and people, the whole thing is,
Of course.
he's not, so he's, but it's also hurt him too. The business, COVID has just shut a lot of stuff down. He used to do a lot of rock and roll. He used to do sports stuff, and then he gets a contract to do some big sports thing, and then the thing gets canceled.
Yep. Nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. He's still staying quite active, and of course, his wife is doing a lot of painting.
Well, she didn't know what a paintbrush was 6, 8, 10 months ago, and all of a sudden she picked this thing up and she's selling that stuff like crazy. But that's because Graham is a marketer.
Well, not only that, but he's knocking out a lot of her stuff on his digital equipment so that it's not just a painting. You can get an apron, you can get a pillow, whatever. And so that's definitely helped her. And of course, she's very good about banging out stuff very quickly, which is not a bad thing.
It's also very, very commercial.
Yep, exactly.
It's a very
stuff. I have a difficult time giving mine away. But then again, I don't worry about it.
Her stuff is the sort of stuff and I've said this, her stuff is the stuff where you'd sell 10,000 of the same thing to a guy that owns a bunch of motels.
Yep, pretty much.
And because it's commercial, it's colorful, it's
right.
really successful.
He can make digital prints of everything so that you want it this size or this size or this size. We can do that for you.
Yeah.
No, I know. Hey, good for him. I think that when you have somebody who has the ability to do a good job marketing, you go for it. I wish I was a good marketer, but oh well.
Well, you're still going, Charlie. I mean, for Christ's sake, it may not be paying the bills, but I found you today,
Yeah, well, I was thinking about you a couple of weeks ago because I was redoing a bunch of junk in my basement. That's when I came across all the Wheat Buckley stuff. I still have quite a bit of it.
Well, there was a lot of it. We won a SGIA promotional award one time for doing all of because all that bright yellow stuff and my trucks and my
I still have a mug from you.
Yeah, everybody does.
Well, you know what it is. I'm also known as a pack rat. So I went back for my book and dug out photos from my first shop, which kind of shocked me. What I do need from you, if you have, is an old photo from back in the day when we worked together.
Oh.
If you happen to have it. If not, I'll take a new one and just make you look old.
I can't think of.
You don't have any photos from back when you had Wheat Buckley?
I got lots of Wheat Buckley pictures.
Are you in any of them?
Oh yeah.
Well, I just need one.
Okay.
Give me a little history of Wheat Buckley in terms of when you started and ended it. Johnny Shell is no longer with SGIA.
Yeah, he was there since he was 12 years old. What the fuck?
As soon as they got in the new CEO, and he and the CEO did not get along. And when the pandemic hit, they furloughed him. And then they never took him back. So he's on his second company since then. He really ran into some trouble when he was let go. I didn't know that he was diabetic. When they let him go, cost of insulin about killed them. Matter of fact,
Oh,
we had friends in Malaysia, what he had to pay $3,000 for, they sent it to him from Malaysia for $80.
in Canada, they give it to you.
Yeah, well, welcome to Canada and not the US. Here, you know, I mean, how could something cost $80 in Malaysia and $3,000 here? I don't understand that.
Well, you
But
know,
yeah, it's big pharmaceutical companies where you can't negotiate. They set the price and that's the end of that.
you know, right where I live in Alberta, we've got an enormous wealth of natural gas underneath the ground.
Yep.
And I just got my natural gas bill for last month. It was $284.
Okay.
Well, no, of that $284, which last year at the same time was 150, the actual gas, the actual usage of the gas
Right.
was $112.
Taxes on everything else, huh?
The carbon tax that motherfucker Justin Trudeau put on was $42. No, I'm sorry, $48, 42%.
Wow.
So I'm paying $112 for gas and I'm paying $48 tax on that gas. And the rest of it was other taxes and fees for delivery and all this other
Right.
stuff. This country, I mean, you guys have got some big problems down there. We got a moron, an absolute moron running our country.
Well, I would have taken your moron over the asshole that we had for 4 years.
Oh,
And what he did to this country, what he did in 4 years
oh.
is amazing. I
No.
mean, it's frightening.
I read about people like this Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh my God.
Now, how can that woman? I mean, I look at her and I think, is this even a human being?
Yes.
You know, and well, I'll tell you something else. This is something else. In the very early 70s, I got busted in England with 2 grams of hash. And somehow the American government found out about it. And one day when I was heading down to one of the trade shows, they stopped me at the airport.
I remember.
And it was a big deal. So ever since then, I've had to get, every 5 years, I've had to get a waiver
Right.
to go into the States. Well, this year's waiver, the waiver came up this month, last November. And I decided, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to renew it because I just can't see myself ever going back to the United States. This is a country that thinks that hard liquor and handgun night at the bar is a good idea.
Absolutely.
And I don't need that kind of stuff. I just simply don't.
AR-15s are available whenever you want.
And when half the people believe that Trump won the election,
Yeah, I know.
I can't. So I made a philosophical decision to just never go back.
Yeah, well, it's funny with pot and stuff. So I grew my mustache and have never taken it off since October of '68 when I was in court for getting busted when I was in college. And what did I get busted for? A roach. A roach. We're not even talking about a joint.
Yeah.
Right. So my upper lip has never seen daylight since then.
Me, 1967 September.
Okay. So you got me definitely. I mean, I had them on and off from the mid '60s, but permanently since October '68. What was interesting is a number of years ago, I went to get global entry. And so I go there and they said, well, have you ever been arrested? Well, yeah, when I was in college. And what was it for? I said, I don't remember what the charge was. I know I had some pot and I said, oh, it was
Yep, ding, 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 ding,
it
ding.
was a narcotics arrest. And so we're turning you down. And I'm thinking, there's a fucking roach. Okay. Now I can go in and buy, 2 grams of pot legally. And so the guy turned me down. So that cost me $100 to find out that he said, well, you can get that removed if you go up to Michigan and go through the paperwork to see what the final filing was. Well, the final filing was, what was it? Disorderly conduct or some shit like that. I mean, a minor situation. It took me 3 days before I could remember that because, who the hell thinks about those things?
Well, exactly.
So I don't know, about 2 years ago, I'm going through a little over 2 years ago, I'm coming back from out of the country and the security guy says to me, why don't you have global entry? I said, well, I got turned down because of getting busted while I was in college for a brooch. He said, they didn't pass you? I said, no, the guy decided not to. He said, that fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I really want to go ahead and do it again? Fuck it, I don't care.
No, 2 grams of hash is about a size of, well, it's, but anyway.
Listen, in Colorado, as of last year, we could do mushrooms.
Oh, no, you can do anything. And here in Canada,
It's stupid. And you want to know the funniest thing? The last time I smoked pot had to be 15 years ago now.
I quit about 4 years ago myself.
It was kind of like, yeah, I've been there, done that. I'd just as soon have my cigar and a drink and I'm fine. And, would I still smoke a joint? Yeah, I guess I would if it was put in front of me. But, I have not gone into a shop that sells pot.
No, me neither.
Period. It kind of took some of the shine off of it, if you know what I mean.
I was diagnosed with a thing called atrial fibrillation, which is.
I've had 3 ablations.
Oh, have you had 3? I only had 1, didn't work out, so I'm just taking the pills.
So I'll tell you about mine. Go ahead.
I haven't had an episode for years and years and years, but I did notice that smoking dope upset me a little bit with that.
Okay.
It sort of would set it off. So I quit smoking dope. Then a week later, it's legal in Canada. So, I was smoking dope for what, 55 years, every day of my life for 50. I wasn't addicted to smoking dope. I was addicted to buying dope. But,
yeah.
So when I just stopped one day. I said, no, I'll wait and see what happens. So I just stopped one day, and I haven't done it since. But then it's legal. But I had the ablation. And the guy said to me that it's because mine wasn't serious. Like I say, I haven't had any episodes of it for years. I can still get my race car license. But the guy said that, the 50-50 chance the first one won't work.
Yep, exactly.
Did you ever did it work? Did yours work?
I took my first, I did my first one and that didn't work. On my second one, and when you had it done, you were on the top rating table at 3.5, 4 hours, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On my second one, in the midst of them doing it, my heart rate went up to 300.
Holy shit.
I was on the table for 7.5 hours.
Jesus Christ.
All right. And so that one didn't take. So then I switched cardiologists. And on the third one, this cardiologist got it right. My heartbeat is somewhere in the upper 50s to 60s.
Yeah. And you're not taking any pills or?
I am. I take I take a shitload of pills. I don't even know which ones are for what anymore. But I know I take the
Eliquis probably for your blood thinner.
No, I take Xarelto for that.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, same thing.
Yeah, same difference,
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be under control. You know, I mean, I've got a bunch of shit. When I take pills, it's kind of like, really, I got to take all of these goddamn things at once. But
Ask me, they when I go to the hospital or get an annual checkup or whatever like that, they say to me, well, Mr. Carter, what pills are you taking? And I say, well, it'll be easier if you give me a list of all the pills and I'll check off the ones I'm not taking.
so I've already printed mine out. And so when they ask me that, I just give them the print
Yeah,
out.
I've got one
Because
too. Yeah.
I'm not going to stand there and, you know, it's kind of like, here you go. Want my list?
Yeah, I've got one like that. I've got one like that. I got one. But then, you know what? What the fuck? I'm taking, I take Eliquis for the blood thinner.
Right.
I'm taking a couple other things, one for the rate of my heart and the other one for the rhythm.
Yeah, I take one for my urinary situations. I take one, you know, I had a ileostomy because I had cancer back in 2001. And so they eventually removed my colon.
Oh, fuck.
And so I have my buddy, and I, you know, it's kind of like, what the hell? Still alive and kicking, still
Well,
doing what I do. I'm going to be at the Long Beach show in 2 weeks doing
Oh, are you?
2 day-long workshops.
Are they going to do it?
Well, it's 2 weeks out and they haven't canceled. So a lot of companies have pulled out. I did 4 shows last year, 2 ISS shows and 2 little shows called DAX shows. Attendance was but you know, it was nice to go to a show for the first time in 18 months or whatever it was.
Yeah. And are you getting anything out of the shows?
You know, I get some business out of it, but more than that, it kind of gives you a purpose, if you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. No.
So, you know, and I've been doing some consulting work. I have to admit that it isn't booming the way it used to,
No.
but at the same time, it's still there. You know, the nice thing about this industry, there are lots of fucking idiots in this industry that need help. Thank God.
Well, yeah, well, exactly. You know, I haven't done any work since 2012 when Gildan got a hold of me. I don't know if I told you about this or not.
No.
Gildan got a hold of me. I was one of their bigger customers here in Canada at the time when I was working, but this was 4 years after I sold my business.
Right.
But I knew Gary Bell, who was the VP of marketing for them, and they said that, and this is something that drove me crazy. They said that they had a lot of customers, Walt Disney and all these rock and roll people and Walmart and all these and Under Armour and Nike and all that sort of stuff. And I said, but what was making everybody crazy was buying a shirt from Gildan, then going out and trying to find a printer. So Gildan said, listen, what we'll do is we'll print them for you. We'll become our own printer. So they were going to buy some shops.
They did. They bought out New Buffalo.
Well, and the reason they bought out New Buffalo is because I told them to. I put together 2 books that thick. Phoned me up, Gary Bell, and said, look, we need someone to go down to these 2 print shops and do due diligence, find out if they are what they say they are, find out what they can do, find out and tell us what they can do. So I get on the plane and I fly down to New Buffalo in New York. And I'm in there and I get there and I'm sitting there in the morning in the boardroom waiting for John, and a couple of the other guys are sitting there. And and John's been told that there's a guy coming from Gildan. You have to let him do whatever he wants, show him everything he asks for. He's got complete carte blanche, all of your financials, everything, right? So I'm sitting there. John walks in, takes one look at me and he said, holy fuck, they sent you? I just about killed myself laughing. I went through his business. I went through his shop. And one of the hardest things, and I'm sure you get into this issue, the people at Gildan kept asking me, how many shirts can they print in a day? And I kept saying to them, how much the dog? And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, I mean, like there's all kinds of different dogs. So there's all kinds of different shirts. Are you talking about runs of 250,000 of one design? Or are you talking about 250 runs of one design? What the fuck, you know? So I can't give you an absolute figure. I can say what maximums are, et cetera, et cetera. John had given them some pretty good numbers. I went through his shop head to toe. I was there for about a week. I went through everything and a shitload of pictures and put a book together. So then I came home. Well, actually, I came home and all that. And a week later, they sent me down to Honduras.
Right. I was in the shop in Honduras as well.
Oh, well, then what was that guy's name? Scott? Something Scott? John Scott? The American guy that was running the place.
Yeah, I don't recall at all.
He was the only English guy there, the only English speaking guy there, and I speak Spanish, so I was just fine. But they said to me on the phone before I went, they said, okay, you're going to Honduras. He said, and when you get off the plane, there's going to be two guys there, and they'll have a little card there with your name, but it won't have your name on it. It'll be a code because it's dangerous. So these two guys there, they got bulletproof vests and guns. Everywhere I went in Honduras, I was in a.
It was the #1 most dangerous country in the world at that time.
San Pedro Sula, the town, yeah. And
Right.
I was in an armored car the whole time. So
Yep.
I get down there, and this guy, Mr. Scott, the boss, he was like an old Southern gentleman from the Civil War. He was just marvelous. But he gave me. I was going through everything. Now I could speak Spanish. So I could go talk to the controllers. I could talk to his production people.
Right.
I could talk to everybody. And of the two shops, one in Honduras was a better shop. It was so clean, so
Yeah.
well organized. And the difference was John in New York had a bunch of these long-haired hippie weirdos, guys that cover with tattoos who would sort of do the job and be there, whatever. Down in Honduras, these people were so fucking happy to have work that they were just on the money.
Yeah.
They were brilliant. So one day, and this Mr. Scott said to me, anytime, no matter what I'm doing, you've got if you've got a question, come and see me. So he was in a meeting with these guys from, is it Garvin or something like that? Company owned by Warren Buffett. And they were in there to order 9 million t-shirts. They ordered like 9 million every 3 times a year or whatever. So they're in there and they're thrashing around this conversation about 9 million t-shirts. And I had an urgent question that I had to ask. So here I am in the jungle in Honduras, in the middle of fucking nowhere, with
Yep.
two bodyguards waiting for me in an armored car. And I go into the meeting and Scott says to me, I'd like you to meet this guy. He's the head of the delegation. The guy turns around. He and I both break up laughing. It's Dave Wright. I don't know if you remember David Wright.
Of course I know David.
Dave is the head guy. and this Scott guy, I can't believe Dave and I are hugging and laughing and everything else. Scott comes up to me about 20 minutes later. He says, who the fuck are you? Because I know he's got this guy wants to buy 9 million t-shirts. I'm in there checking out his shop and I know the guy who's buying the t-shirts.
Yep. No, Dave is back up in Canada working. It has been for a number of years now.
I know, I keep in touch with Dave too.
Yeah, when he was still in Honduras, we would go to to a little place called Lips. I guess you never got to go to Lips when you were down there.
No, I didn't go. No.
It was the nastiest strip club I've ever seen. The nastiest. And he knew all of them.
Oh, of course he did. Oh yeah. I know Dave quite well.
Now, I went and visited him many, many times down there.
But the way that those guys down in Honduras ran the shop place was just spectacular the way they had
Yeah.
that thing set up, and the people I talked to, like they had a lot of presses. The floor was spotless. The people were clean.
Yep.
Stations were clean. There wasn't ink all over the fucking place.
Well, they were thrilled to be working. Are you kidding?
And then when they got to the point of packaging and tagging and everything else, they had this thing completely under control. It was,
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was the most professional thing I'd ever seen. I pointed out in the book, because I wrote them another book explaining how they were doing it all, and they had a better system for everything. They were faster, quicker, better, cheaper. And so, but anyway, I recommended both shops. And I said, yeah, they can do what you want them to do. Go ahead and do it. And so John got bought out. I don't know. Now
Yeah.
he was kept on by Gildan for a while, but I don't think he's still with them.
No, he's not. He opened up another shop of his own. I guess he had I was with John when that deal was coming down because FESPA was in London. And he and his wife came to the show in London.
His wife, she is so funny.
She is. She's a weirdo.
I just loved her. I just loved her.
But he was in London at the time when the deal was going down, and he said, "Yep, I'm doing it." I forget what the year was exactly. I could probably pull it up.
2012, 2013.
Yeah. Okay. So
I was in Honduras in 2012.
Okay. So this had to be whenever FESPA was 2013 or 14. I'm not sure. I got to look at the dates, but yeah, he said he's going to kick back for a while, et cetera, et cetera. And now his son is involved. So I saw him a couple of years back at the Long Beach show, and they had opened up another shop of their own. I guess his covenant not to compete or expired.
Yeah.
Although it's on a very small level now. I mean, obviously, the days of having major size shops in the U.S. is stupid because you can't compete with some of what goes on overseas. I went to a shop in Bangladesh that was 2 full buildings. They had, I think, 30 automatics, probably 10 or 11 floors of print tables, a couple of the digital squeegee machines. And I said, how many shirts are you producing here a day? And they said, well, we're doing about 350,000 prints a day.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit. And they're doing it for, nickels and dimes in comparison to what we are. And their quality was amazing. I mean, stupid how they were getting some of the things done. But, you'd have a company like Puma. I'm watching the guy print a little Puma logo, and it's a high density print. He's printing it through 305 mesh and hitting and flashing it 6 to 8 times just to get a little bit of height, but getting perfect detail. Yeah. And it's like, in the US, they would tell you to go screw yourself. We're not going to do that.
No, exactly.
Over there, hey, you want it, we'll do it.
Yeah. I forget.
So,
I forget the numbers they were printing down in Honduras, but it was big numbers.
Oh,
but I often wondered, because I knew that John had gone back into work, and I thought to myself, well, what did he do? See, it was a multi-million-dollar deal.
Oh yeah, he did very well on it. I think the only reason he went back and did it is just for his son.
Something to do.
Yeah, but I mean, I was amazed some of the stuff that I saw overseas. I mean, the shops were spectacular.
Yeah,
they were clean.
Yeah,
and everybody talks about they're sweatshops. It's like, really, the sweatshops that you see are from the U.S., not from over there.
No, the one in Honduras, everybody got checked, searched the same as you would do getting on an airplane, going out, because one Nike T-shirt under your belt would pay for a week of food for a family in Honduras. That's the kind of thing they were dealing with.
Yeah.
But aside from that, man, I've never seen anything that was as slick and tight an operation. They were just so good. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been waiting now for 12 years for the check from John, but it,
Well, you need to remind him.
I know, I think, I don't know how far gone the deal was, but I certainly made it clear and I went through every single, because here's the other thing too. These fucking guys at Gildan didn't know shit about printing. They didn't know anything about printing. They knew how to make t-shirts, but they didn't know anything about t-shirts. Looks like you got someone coming on.
Yeah, Sean, from Georgia.
Well, it must be warmer down there than it is up here.
Well, I would listen. I think the Arctic Pole is warmer than where you are right now.
You know what? It's not. It's quite often where we are the coldest place on the planet.
What was it? There was a spot, not in Canada, in the US about 2 weeks ago, that was minus 68 Fahrenheit.
Well, at 40 below, they're the same.
You know, I mean, minus 68. Denver, in Colorado, when I first moved out here, we hit minus 63 in one of the towns. The coldest that when I was young, I was a runner. And so we went up to Vermont for Christmas. And I made it a thing of running every day. I went out, it was 30 below zero when I was running. I came back with icicles hanging off.
Oh, no, but yeah, I go outside for a walk and I got icicles.
Piss out of my daughter.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah, those days are long gone. Now, just walking outside is a challenge at 32 degrees out. So,
well, you know, I'm just looking outside. I got my truck parked out there, plugged in so that it doesn't freeze to death.
yeah.
The wife's car is in the garage with the race car. You know, well, I'm still driving race cars. There's no question about that. I'm the oldest guy on the track.
Well, that's for damn sure. Methuselah is younger than you are.
Well, but it's still okay because it's what I've got to say that.
So the question is, do they give you a handicap because of your age?
Well, no, but they'll help me in and out of the car.
Well, that's a good thing.
Hold the cane. No, it's. I'm not doing it as much as I was because it's too fucking expensive.
Yeah, well,
you know, the costs have gone up, but there's a new racetrack being built about an hour south of where I live. World-class, phenomenal racetrack. Turns out that I'm the race director for our region. So I've been talking to these guys and I'm the one that has to I'm putting on a bunch of races down there this coming summer.
oh, good for you.
And that's going to be exciting. So the advantage to that is that they're going to let me on the track with my race car previous to these races to give me the opportunity to check the track out.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have a little bit of an advantage.
Well, that's a nice thing.
I'm not running for championships anymore because it's just, it's just too expensive to do it all.
Yeah.
I mean, when I had the company, I was able to put everything on the company. It was part of my promotional effort.
Right.
And the government said it was okay to do that as long as I could show some possibility of profit. I didn't have to show a profit, but possibility of profit. Well, I made tons of money because I sold t-shirts to every team. I made a ton of money selling stuff on the track. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, are you there? Are you?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How come? Where's your visual? I was waiting for that wonderful background.
Well, I'm in my PJs.
Well, that's okay. We're all adults here, so I mean, not a problem.
Adults.
I'd rather be modest, if I may.
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm up here in Washington State, Napa Vine, which is about halfway between Portland and Seattle.
Yeah.
And I'm on my dad's property. He's got 80 acres up here and he's getting old. So after I got back from Thailand, I figured I'd spend some time here.
So what are you doing with yourself now?
I'm waiting on the booster shot, and then I've got some opportunities. There's a possibility in Germany, and there's a possibility in Hawaii. I met a guy when I was in Thailand, and they need some help with some pre-press as well as creative stuff. So I'm just right now just kind of scouting around, just looking and seeing what's going on. I'm hoping that this COVID thing will die off before the end of this year.
I don't know about that.
I'm
But
waiting
we'll
for the
see.
I'm waiting for the 17th wave.
Yeah,
A lot of people think it'll be gone by the third quarter. And
well,
I don't think it'll ever be gone.
no, they said it'll never be gone. It's just a matter of this one being mild enough where it's just not going to be that much of a factor anymore, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's the Omicron, they say that that's actually helping in a way because people are getting a lot of
Well, I think the US today hit 1 million new cases.
Yeah, one thing that's good about it though is that with the Omicron, it's less severe. But
Yes.
yeah, I think that just like the flu shot, we're going to be having COVID shots every year.
I
New
think
vac-
it should be about every 6 months for a while. Yeah.
I
Yeah, no
agree.
kidding. Yeah, because it seems like it's changing so quick. So,
Yeah.
So
Well,
I saw this on LinkedIn, and I hadn't ever used Zoom before, so I downloaded the app, and I thought I'd kind of sit back and listen today and see what's going on.
well, you're catching the end of it. It actually started a while ago, but Brooke and I go back for a long ways. Brooke had a shop up in Canada. We really haven't chatted in a number of years, but I do this every other week or every 2 weeks. I do a Zoom session
Are you in
and
Denver still?
try and gear it to specific situations. This one was just kind of a open forum, but I think the next one I'm going to probably do something about websites. And if you're interested, if you want to get on and talk about your background and your abilities in Photoshop, et cetera, be happy to have you on.
Yeah, I'll have to come more prepared, actually put some clothes on,
Well,
get
that's
out.
fine. That would definitely help. I did post my email address, so if you're interested, shoot me a line.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that because I am interested. I'd
All
like
right, well,
to.
it's drprint@aol.com. I did that through.
Okay,
Brooke, 'cause
yeah, it's still.
I need to
still
get
the
a
same.
photo of him when he was a younger guy.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I don't think they didn't have cameras back then.
well, but I was hoping that you had an artist rendering of what you look like.
Yeah, I'm
You
just
mean
sitting here
Warhol,
going,
Warhol didn't do any screen prints of you?
no. I taught him how to screen print.
Well, there you go. It was
No,
silk
I-
screening back then.
I was just going through the book I did for Gildan on the Honduras operation.
Uh-huh.
But the pictures are all too small for me to show you what they are, so I just
Well,
wouldn't.
that's all right.
It just wouldn't work. But it was, you might, if you say you were down there, you might recognize the building.
Yeah, I went to that building. I used to go down to Honduras quite a bit. Matter of fact, it was the place that I remember most. We went to see a particular client, and the name of the restaurant was called Chicken and Cake. And it's like, what the fuck? Chicken and cake. Okay. But
No.
yeah, we would have a driver for the week, and he would never let us out of his sight.
Was it? Well, that's it. And they told me, they actually said, and the Gildan told me I had to do what they said. do what the guy said. So these two guys with the guns and the bulletproof vests and the armored car, they'd park in front of the hotel until they could see me get in the elevator. And they said, if you want to go out,
Call
call
us.
us.
Yep.
Well, so I just ate in the hotel and stayed in the hotel. Fuck it, I didn't want to.
They had you at the
I-
Princess?
Geez, I don't remember what hotel it
There were about 3 or 4 hotels. The Princess is where David was.
Was it a Hilton?
Could have been, yes. Princess Hilton.
I don't remember, but it was a good hotel. I mean,
Yeah.
But you know what? I was putting in 9-10 hour days at the plant. I didn't have, I was tired. I came back, drank a bottle of wine and had a steak and went to bed.
Yeah. Well, down there, if you did go out at night, you went out as a group of
Oh, yeah.
4, 6, 8 people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember,
and a flashlight so you didn't trip over the bodies.
the interesting thing was they weren't really interested in tourists. It was really gang situations.
Oh, it was all drug gang stuff.
Yeah. And so, the only way you got involved was if you got caught in a crossfire.
That's exactly,
Which,
but
It
that was
was
the problem.
scary. But I
Yeah.
mean, at that time, San Pedro Sula was considered the most dangerous city in the world.
It was the most
And-
dangerous
and-
city in
and
the world when
Honduras
I
was
was there. Yeah.
considered the number 1
Yeah.
most dangerous country in the world. When
Yeah,
I went to South Africa, I said, how does Johannesburg rank? Well, it only ranks 7th. I said, well, I'm
The
feeling
beach.
much more comfortable already, having been at number 1 and number 3, I think.
Well, the other thing was that these guys like Dale was the guy's name, Dale Scott, the American guy that was running the plant. He had a guy as well. I mean, they all had a
I knew
driver.
Dale.
But- yeah, that's what I mean. Dale was a really nice guy. I really
Yeah,
liked
big
him.
boy from the South.
That's right. And he was the finest gentleman. But like I said, he was pretty shocked when Dave Wright and I got together in the middle of Honduras. But no, they told me that the big fear was kidnapping.
Yeah.
And that's what they were more worried about me getting kidnapped than they were about me getting shot in crossfire.
Yep. Yeah. No, when we were down there, well, not only there, but I mean, I've been to quite a number of countries where the person behind the driver would have a 45 in his hands at all times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, I wrote about my first trip to Honduras. So I went down there, and as I got out of the airport, the first thing I saw was a guy in the back of a pickup truck waving a submachine gun, and he didn't have a uniform on.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit, this is really where I am.
I didn't know Honduras was that bad. That sounds worse than Juarez.
Oh, it made
Oh. They were killing
San Pedro
hundreds of
Sula
people a
was
day.
number 1.
Jeez.
San Pedro Sula, and I came home, and my wife showed me. We were getting the Guardian Weekly at the time from London. My wife showed me the front page, and it said San Pedro Sula, most dangerous city in the world.
Yep.
And I'm thinking that was a pretty interesting week I spent there.
What was interesting for me was we were always with quote unquote protection. And so, we really never got to feel threat. We knew that it was out there, but
Yeah,
we
me too,
never
me too.
found ourselves in that position.
Me too.
And so to that end, it was good. In any event, I'm going to have to get going. I shot you my email address. Hopefully you can dig out an old photo, but I'm doing this again in 2 weeks. If you want to jump on or any other time, just shoot. I have Zoom. I can just pause.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about doing that before. The last time we were in touch doing
Yeah.
this.
Well, I'm
we
glad
could-
you jumped on this time.
Well, we did talk about T-shirts, and we did talk about presses. Oh, is Hoffman not working anymore?
Danny Sweem, who I worked with Danny back when he was the vice president at Rutland, and then he went over to NASDAQ. Danny Sweem is the CEO. Since Danny took over, no one has heard anything from Rich Hoffman. Zero.
Hmm.
Rich Hoffman told me when he's done, he's out, and he isn't going to have anything to do with the industry anymore.
I
And
wonder
he
if
hasn't.
he's well, it's me. I've had one thing, otherwise then I pack it into. I wonder if he's out there racing his trucks.
I don't know. I shot him a text message probably a year and a half ago. Never got a response. And I used to be in touch with him all the time. So I have no idea. He's retired. He's obviously done done fairly well for himself. And so, it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I bought a lot of machines off Rich. Actually, he was a really good guy.
He was, I agree.
He
But,
did some pretty spectacular deals for me. I remember one time, just very quickly, I'll tell you, I was at one of the shows. I did a deal on a secondhand 14 color with him that he had coming in. He didn't have it yet. It was coming in. Well, it never came in. And he sent me a brand new one at the same price.
Wow. Yeah, I went to him. I was working with a company up in Chicago and I needed a manual press for them. And he had just come out with his new manual press, little guy, $2,999. And I said, Rich, I'd like to buy it. And they were in Chicago. I said, we'll drive over and pick it up. He said, well, I need that one for the show. So why don't you come up here and I'll give you one of the bigger machines to use until this one comes back from the show. And I said, that sounds great. We just need it. So we drove up there and they put this machine on the back of the pickup truck. We got it back. And then when the show was over, I said, you want us to come and switch it out? He said, you know what? Let me give you a deal on the one that you already have. The deal was so good. My client says to me, should we take it? I said, are you out of your mind? Of course you're going to take this deal. It was one of those types of things.
Yeah.
I called him up one time for the same client saying, I need an automatic. This was in December. And I said, when can I get one? He said, it's going to be, 8 weeks or whatever it was. I said, man, I really need one. He said, you know what? Every December I put 10 machines under my name and I just sit on them. He said, I'll sell you one of those. They picked it up inside of a couple of days. And, he did those types of things. I don't think a lot of people knew about it.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I bought one of the very first Challengers he ever made, the little simple 6-color Challengers. And I told him I wanted another button on it, on the arm. He called it the Buckley button, and he said that he sold a lot of them with the Buckley button on them as well. But that machine, I had it for years, and my God, it just went forever. And when I finally sold the business, we sold the machine to somebody, and they kept using it. It was just indestructible, that little thing. Little original 6-color Challenger.
Nice.
This is what happens. Let me see if I can show you this.
Yeah, I see it.
I'll turn this light off here. There you go. Where are we? Okay, there we go. That's what happens. That's what happens when you're out racing. Earlier in the day, I tore the front end of the car off on a wall.
Huh.
So I took all the bits off, taped it up, and finished up the day racing like that. So
all right. Well,
that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
It's a lot more fun than printing T-shirts.
Well, I don't know. I'm still involved with T-shirts, although I do have my Porsche in the garage and can't take it out during the winter because it sucks in snow.
You're not getting any sympathy from me.
No, there's no sympathy involved. In any event, stay in touch. Sean, when you get a chance, shoot me an email.
I did already. That's one
Great.
thing I wanted to, before I get off here, I wanted to say, you're still in Denver?
I am, and do me a
So
favor.
I
I
need
need
to
a photo, and I need whatever you want to call your title, whether it's Photoshop expertise, or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. We'll get you on in a couple of weeks.
That sounds good. I'll go ahead and send a
I'll do
photo.
some publicizing, and I'll be back in touch with you and let you know what I can do, and you'll let me know if it works for you.
Photo and job or career title.
Come up with any title. I don't care what it is. That's your prerogative.
El Presidente was mine.
There you go. Well, that's always mine was my old business card had me as the dictator. So, all right, gentlemen, it was wonderful having you.
Nice meeting you,
I
Sean.
wish I
Stay
would've
safe. Good seeing
I'm
you.
sorry.
Sean, look forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, I apologize for not getting on here earlier.
No. Next time, I don't care if you have pajamas on or
No.
put a t-shirt on top. I don't care what you have on the bottom.
You just
Yeah,
missed,
right?
you just missed a couple of old farts talking about back in the old days.
By the way, this is going on my website. So if you're interested, I do have all of the Charlie's Corners on my website. So it's talbleepconsulting.com.
Well, you
Should
don't want to put,
Should you want to reminisce?
Sounds good.
Gentlemen, have a good one.
cool.
You
Take it easy,
too.
man.
Take
You
care.
look after yourself,
now.
Charlie. Love you, man. You be good.
All right,
Bye.
take care, guys. Bye-bye.